Hello, welcome to the Lone Show. I'm your host, John Lone. In this episode, no regulars, because reasons, as always. As for our guest, he's from USA, and he's a businessman. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jeff Barnes.
Thanks for having me here, John May. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, how's life?
Busy as usual.
Very good, very good. And is there anything you're currently working on or up to recently?
Oh man. There's about 500 things we're working on right now. We're hosting our event coming up here in a few months in Nashville for buying businesses. We are currently raising capital for one of our startups and implementing a number of technology updates for our business. So, life is never anything if not an adventure over here.
Fantastic. What kind of business do you do?
So, Johnny, I do a number of different things, but the number one thing that I focus on is helping business owners and founders scale up their company so they can achieve the ultimate freedom in their life, which is financial freedom and autonomy, so they can do what they want, where they want, when they want, with whom they want, without any limitations.
Interesting. What inspired you to go on this path?
Well, it's somewhat of a long story. It wasn't necessarily something that inspired me initially, but I started out my career running a nuclear power plant on a submarine for the Navy, and doing that for a few years, where you are somewhat involved in supporting the freedom of a country, you don't have any personal freedoms of your own. And so over time, I learned that that was really something that I wanted in my life. I wanted to be able to do what I wanted when I wanted without having any real limitations on me. And so, of course, that put me down this path of learning how to create financial independence, learning how to invest, learning how to do invest in real estate, and then ultimately down the path of business and technology. And over the course of the last 20 years, I've really focused a lot on helping other people build out their business because I understood the inner workings of business and technology to achieve financial results that people want. And so I spend a lot of time working with other business owners so that they can achieve the results they're looking for so they can have the lifestyle that they want. And it was one of those natural outgrowths of what I was good at, which was the intersection of business operations, technology, and finance. And by putting all of those things together, people started coming to me asking for help with their businesses. And the more that they asked me for help with that, the more I realized this was the thing that I was actually really good at.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
What?
so.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do do advise on how to grow businesses, is there like a particular theme in what business you help with, or is it businesses of all kinds that you're gonna help that you help with people scale and grow?
It has been businesses of all kinds, but of course, we've narrowed that in a lot more over the years because as I teach to my students and my clients, you need to really hone in on who you're serving. And so, who I serve are the founder CEOs of companies that are infinitely scalable. So, they are generally tech enabled or tech companies that are looking to grow, and the founders are very familiar with their technology and want to change the world, but they don't really know how to do that effectively. They don't know how to get the message out. They don't know how to convince other people that the technology they've built over the last several years is going to change their lives. And so we focus a lot on the marketing and systems, working a lot with their marketing technology first, and then we help by consulting on the operational piece and helping them to implement the systems that they need to be scalable.
Interesting. And throughout your time doing this, what have been the highs and the lows?
Well, I'd say the high was at one point we decided to, before I started consulting a lot of other people on doing this, we took one of our companies from zero to $17 million in sales in about 8 months and scaled up incredibly quickly, had over 400,000 customers worldwide, and we're just growing like crazy at that point. It was actually a lot of fun. The low, unfortunately, out of all that was we got so good at scaling up the business on the sales and marketing side that unfortunately our product started falling short and we outsold our manufacturer's ability to produce. And so that ended up in us giving 50,000 refunds, which was not a lot of fun. Um, so I've been on a number of different journeys. I've raised millions and millions of dollars myself. I've been involved in over $1 billion in capital transactions. I've seen companies go public and be acquired. We've acquired companies ourselves and scaled them up, and then we've had a number of losses along the way, right? Because not everything works out as you hope, and so we've took our lumps as well, and unfortunately had to lick our wounds from time to time. So I've seen quite a bit of things in my career, and the most fun is when you get everything right and you get a great team that's helping you scale up a company.
Yes, indeed. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I really like Idaho here in the United States. It's just absolutely beautiful with the mountains and the rivers, and you have sunshine 300 days of the year. But it also gets really cold, right? And plenty of snow, and so I'm very much I like the seasons. I've learned that about myself where I like to see the different seasons and whatnot, but being able to travel is really what sets gets me excited because I can go to a lot of different places. So if I had to say, one home base, it might be somewhere in Idaho because I just really love it out there. But I do very much enjoy the Caribbean as well, and I've never had a chance to really go over to the Mediterranean, so I'm gonna have to check that out at some point.
Nice, nice. If you were given 500 acres of land, what would you use that land for?
Oh man, if I was given 500 acres of land, that'd be amazing. Well, I'd have to have a dirt bike track on our property for sure. I'd have a really big estate, and I do a lot of masterminds and consulting days with clients, and so I'd have a separate facility that's on our property that is just for business, so I can always keep my home and business life separate, and have a really nice place that's sort of a retreat for our clients to come and hang out. Definitely have to have a nice big pool out there, an outdoor living space, and then a gun range. So we can go out there and practice our shooting and whatnot, and have a lot of fun on our own property without having to worry about anybody else outside us interfering.
Okay, cool, cool. What's your favorite season?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer. I really enjoy the summer out here in the Pacific Northwest because it's the only time we actually get sun and warmth. You don't get that very often throughout the seasons out here. So I'd say the summertime is generally my favorite because we can go to the lakes and go hang out and actually get some sunshine. And when we miss that for the other 8 months out of the year, it's nice to finally bask in the sun a little bit.
Sweet. How did you spend your last birthday?
My last birthday? Well, it was just a couple weeks ago, and I actually traveled to Nashville, Tennessee, and we held a little networking get together with a few investor friends and whatnot, and got to go to some local honky tonks down there and watch a performance by a gentleman. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they called it Blue Eyed Blues, which is white folks singing blues, and it was just incredible. It was a lot of fun, good town, a lot of good company.
Hmm, sounds interesting.
Hmm.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Cool. Where do you see yourself 20 years from now?
Well, let's see, 20 years from now, the kids will be out of the house. The wife and I will be traveling the world and really enjoying our time everywhere we go and having a chance to really just see and explore and experience everything the world has to offer as best we can. And I already own a number of businesses, and so we'll just continue to build our portfolio and continue to enjoy our lives traveling and have consulting clients around the world helping to cover that cost.
Okay, sounds cool. Would you sleep on the wall or sleep on the ceiling?
Well, that's an interesting question. Well, probably sleeping on the ceiling, I guess, would be just fine as long as you had a nice, comfy place to hang out, and I didn't have to stare straight down the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. What could you give a 40-minute presentation without any preparation?
Um, Technology enabling business operations, scaling marketing systems, all of that. I could give a presentation on health and wellness and what people should be doing to take care of their bodies and minds at all times so they can actually live a long and healthy life. I'd say there's a number of different topics that I could speak on a lot as an expert.
Ah, all right then. What? Hold on. If you were chosen to colonize a new habitable planet, would you take that offer?
Would I take that offer? Man, I think I probably would, depending on who was offering that and what kind of say I had and how it was run.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that. What's your favorite food or drink?
Well, I drink iced tea regularly. I'd have to say that's probably my favorite, just because I'm always looking for something to keep me refreshed during these days when I'm talking nonstop. Food wise, I like a good ribeye steak. It's really hard for me to go wrong with a ribeye steak and maybe even mashed potatoes on the side.
Oh, okay. That's intriguing. If the internet suddenly stopped existing, what would you do with the time you used to spend on it?
Oh man, talk about so much time you'd have. I think the world would really uh, crumble for a while if the internet stopped existing. So instead of me focusing so much on international or national business, I'd probably go back to focusing on local and using direct mail advertising to get people into events. And I'd do the same thing I'm doing right now, which is fill up rooms, talk to people about the stuff that I'm good at, and from there, get a few people to hire us to consult with them, and then just spend more time locally as opposed to working with clients all over the place.
Nice, nice, very useful. If you could create your own job title, what would it be?
Well, luckily, I've gotten a chance to do that. But I like the title of chairman. It's the person that owns the company that gets to kind of run the things, but doesn't have to do the day-to-day operations. And so that's one of my favorite places to be, is where you're advising folks, but you're not actually doing all of the work.
Ah, yes, that'd be great. What is your favorite type of day?
My favorite type of day. Well, I used to say sleeping in, but that doesn't work anymore. I can't sleep in. So I'm generally up between 4:30 and 5:30 every morning. Coffee in the morning, hang out for a little bit, work out, be, cleaned up, worked out and everything like that, ready to go by about 7:30 or 8 in the morning. And then from there, if I didn't have to check email ever, if I never had to get online or check an app or check a text message or like that, and all I had to do was, get on phone calls and have 15 to 30-minute phone calls a few times a day. That'd be great. Not having to worry about what's going to be cooked, and I enjoy cooking, but if I didn't have to worry about it, I could just focus on getting the work done, and then being done by about 3 to 4 p.m. so I can go hang out with my kids. And whether we just hang out at home, again, if it's sunny out, then going outside and playing with them, or baseball. I coach baseball, so that's another piece I do. But and then having that nice glass of wine and a ribeye steak for dinner sounds like a pretty good day to me.
It sure does. Would you rather speak all languages or talk to animals?
Oh man, if I had to hear what animals had to say all the time, I'd probably go crazy. So I'd probably be able to speak all languages. My dog would probably drive me nuts if I could hear what she had to say.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It would be very useful to speak as many languages as I could.
Hmm.
Where has been the furthest you traveled to from where you were originally from?
Well, I got on a submarine in, let's see, Bahrain, over in Qatar, and we traveled down to Perth, Australia. So I don't know how many thousands of miles that was, but it was a long way, and that was all underwater.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very far. What is the best way to start the morning?
For me, the best way to start the morning would be getting that cup of coffee in and getting to work at it, and then doing a cold shower after that to really wake you up.
Yep, can't argue with that. Seems very effective, that's for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. What hobby would you get into if time and money weren't an issue?
If I could hire someone to come and teach me how to play the guitar and the piano every single week, um, and actually really spend a significant amount of time on that so I could get good at it, I'd probably enjoy that.
Yeah, nice. What has been the nicest surprise or favor someone has done for you?
Oh, geez. That's a great question. Um, Honestly, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head that really comes to mind. I think that my wife has taken me out on dates that I didn't know we were gonna have and got a great chance to go enjoy and spend time with her doing those types of things. But I can't think of anything right off the top of my head that would really stand out beyond that.
Yeah, that's nice. What's your favorite thing about the location or the town or wherever you're living in right now?
Oh, the scenery. We have great seasons. It's green most of the year around. The mountains are absolutely beautiful. We're right by the ocean. There's no smog, and so the environment and the scenery is absolutely what I love. Plenty of hills and rivers and lakes to go play in and enjoy our time.
Yeah, I love sceneries like that. If you had a song for every time you enter the room, what song would that be?
I really like "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. If that could be my walk-up song, I'd be okay with that.
Nice, very good. What should they teach in high school but they don't?
Oh, geez. Um, how much time do we really have here? So, it's easy to say teaching finance would be something they don't teach you, but I have what I call my core four, which is it starts with education, then it goes to health, then it goes to wealth, and then ultimately, if you have a good education, you have your health, and you've created wealth, and you have freedom. Um, so the biggest thing that I feel that school of any kind fails at is teaching people what's going on in their minds and their bodies and helping them to be aware, self-aware of what they're thinking, their thoughts, their habits, their actions, their beliefs, and how that translates into healthy lifestyles so that people can take care of themselves long term. And then ultimately after that, then you start talking about finances because most people, especially in our country, are incredibly overweight, incredibly sick. We have the highest mortality rate of any country in the world. We have the highest sickness rates of any country in the world. We're spending more per capita on healthcare, which I would call sick care, than any country in the world. And it all stems down to lack of education. People are so, to be polite, they don't spend the time thinking about the things they need to, and they haven't spent the time learning how to take care of themselves properly. And so that's a big issue.
Yeah, absolutely. What place or activity do you find relaxing?
I really enjoy being out in nature. Camping is great. Once you get everything set up, anybody who says it's easy to get everything out there, especially with kids, and get it all set up and ready is, they're lying. But once you get it set up and you can just sit down in the chair and relax by the fire and, have a drink in your hands and hang out by the river or go fishing, something like that, then it actually is really relaxing.
Yeah, absolutely. If life is a game like some people say, what are some of the rules?
Mm. Number one rule I would say is that the world doesn't care about your feelings. A lot of people feel that the world is unfair. They feel that they're not being treated properly. They feel that they deserve more in life than what life's given them. And the biggest rule is the universe does not care about your feelings. And to try and make everybody else care about your feelings is pretty terrible. Instead, you need to focus in on what's going to be the most beneficial for yourself and for your family long term. And I'd say the biggest rule in that area is learn how to make yourself valuable to other people so that other people will value you and help you to enjoy the life you want.
Yes, couldn't agree more. Are you more of an early bird or a night owl?
I used to be a night owl, but like I said, I wake up between 4:30 and 5:30 almost every morning without an alarm clock and just get up and my brain's ready to go first thing, and so I have to get out of bed. So definitely more of an early bird now.
Yeah, I'd say the same. Although I would love to be more of an early bird, although I am m mainly more of a night owl. So, yeah. Would you rather never age physically or never age mentally?
Oh, geez. You know, I think I'd rather stop aging physically now because I have an idea what it would take to keep my mind sharp long term. But the two are interlinked, and I don't think we can really separate those. So if I didn't have to worry about, getting old and feeble and frail, I'd be very much on board with that. And so obviously I'm doing everything I can to prevent that from happening, but body follows mind. And so obviously I have to keep my mind sharp too. So it's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, indeed. If your life was a meal, what kind of meal would it be?
Okay. Um, you know, it'd be a sushi platter, just a sampling and a taste of everything. It all seems kind of strange, but in the end, it's all delicious.
Oh, all right then. I like it. If you could level up in life, just like you would in video games, where would you put your next stat points into?
Well, I guess for me, it would be how to recapture even more of my time. That's really the fundamental focus of what I do with technology and businesses is how to free up more of my time so I can actually live the life I want and enjoy myself. So I'd say if I could recapture and recoup more time in a day, I would do that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What's the one thing that puzzles you every time you think about
Other people.
it?
how how other people don't seem to think or spend time furthering themselves, their education, their own minds, their own bodies, their own health and wellness, all of that. Like I'm perplexed by um, people who are very apathetic, I guess.
Yeah, so do you prefer headphones or earbuds?
You know, I don't really like having all the frequencies going through my brain if I don't have to. So the Bluetooth frequencies are not exactly great for you. So I'd say headphones, but I really don't like how they feel long term.
Fair enough. What always makes you laugh?
Oh, geez, listening to my kids talk to each other. They're always saying or doing something silly.
Okay, cool, cool. What is the best way to travel?
First class.
Yeah, I'd say the same. Because who doesn't like first class?
No, haven't been anywhere yet.
That'll be interesting if there was. What has been the longest trip you've ever taken?
Well, I was gone for 6 months on a submarine all around the world, so yeah, I guess that kind of counts. But otherwise, I've spent a couple weeks, overseas and Dominican Republic for my honeymoon with my wife one time. That was absolutely amazing. And then I've traveled across our country and driven solo from one edge of the country to the other, and done that by myself a long time ago. So that took a little over a week to do that.
Yeah, very good. What was the most overhyped place you've ever traveled to?
Geez, most overhyped place. Los Angeles. I think it's okay, but I used to live there and I think it's silly how much hype it gets, especially in Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely. What recent news story have you found most interesting?
Jeez, that I have found most interesting. Well, I like the fact that new scientific studies are constantly overturning old health and wellness articles and, common misconceptions. So the lipid energy model is a really good one, a good example. The what actually causes heart attacks and heart disease, news stories about that are pretty fascinating to me.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your favorite life hack?
Bulletproof coffee in the morning. I think that's a good one because then I'm not hungry most of the day, so I don't end up overeating.
Yeah, yeah. What is the best way to stay motivated?
I think the best way to stay motivated is to have goals and realize that those goals are within your reach if you actually pursue them. And in order to do that, you have to wake up every morning and put in the work. And so that's an easy enough motivator for me.
Yes, indeed. A purpose keeps you going for many, many years. Do you like spicy food?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, me too. In fact, I kind of have a craving for spicy food because I like the tingliness and the sensations that goes on. So yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
what is the one thing you can't live without?
Oh man, my wife don't want to do that.
Fair enough. What flavor of ice cream do you wish existed?
Oh geez, I can't say that I think of any because they're all so good to me. So you have a little brownie a la mode with some ice cream. It's just delicious. So I don't think I need anything new created for that.
Hmm, okay, cool, cool. What has been the best thing you've ever bought off Amazon?
Hmm. Probably the basketball hoop that's sitting out front of our house because the kids play it nonstop, and so it keeps them outside and active.
Ah, all right then. If you could know the absolute and total truth to one question, what question would you ask?
Being as precise as possible, explain to me how the human mind actually works.
Yes, very good. If magic was real, what spell would you try to learn first?
That's a tough one. I'd say maybe the ability to read other people's minds.
Yeah, I would love that too, honestly. Would you ever try space tourism?
Yep, definitely would.
Nice. Honestly, I would try it too, because you can go out, explore the universe, different planets, if they're habitable, and yeah, it's cool.
Could be a lot of fun, absolutely.
Oh, yes. Have you ever experienced anything supernatural?
I'd say so. Yeah. Maybe a few things, but the easiest one for me was watching my youngest son when he was about 6 years old or so. He was really struggling. Maybe he was even 5 years old. He was really struggling to read. And we finally, after trying a lot of therapies and everything else, and not read, I'm sorry, speak properly. And then all of a sudden we talked to a healer, spiritual healer, and within one session of that healer saying they did something without even seeing my son, he was able to go from roughly 20% of where he should have been to 80% within 3 days. And it was just a miracle seeing him be able to start communicating with people and talking and observing the world around him properly. It was just pretty fascinating.
Wow, now that is incredible.
Hmm.
What a miracle.
Yeah.
And that is all we have for this episode. It's great having you on, Jeff, talking about your works as a businessman and helping businesses grow and scale and everything in between. It's been fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Jamil. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And until next time, stay tuned for more.